Everyone, and welcome to our monthly webinar. My name is Justin Cooper, and I'm a hard money lender and full-time real estate investor. Each month, we bring in some of our friends in the industry to share their expertise. This may be through a presentation, like when we talk about self-directed IRAs or title insurance, or we may simply interview our expert friends and dive deep into how they got started, where their investing has taken them, and what they see coming both for themselves and for the industry. I also want to say thank you to everyone who made it to tonight's event. We know that you're giving up some of your time, so Kim and I will do everything we can to bring you the value that you're hoping for. This webinar is brought to you by Pine Financial Group. Pine Financial is Colorado and Minnesota's premier hard money lender. Pine focuses on the needs of Colorado and Minnesota real estate investors. We are investors ourselves, and we know what it takes to get deals closed. Everyone at Pine Financial Group is dedicated to the success of its clients. We only experience success when our clients are succeeding, so we have a habit of telling you when a deal should or should not be done. And isn't that what you want from a professional in the industry, especially someone that you trust as an advisor? You will benefit from our honesty and integrity when you choose to work with us. Tonight's webinar brings in a longtime friend and lender, Kim Burke. Kim is an experienced real estate investor herself with over 15 years of experience in mortgage lending. Kim's passion lies in helping investors develop a strategic financial plan for their rental properties. She's financed over 250 investment properties and understands how to properly structure financing to meet her clients' cash flow objectives, as well as plan for future acquisitions. Kim, I've shared just a little bit about you. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into tonight's presentation?
Sure. Thank you, Justin. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited to share this business plan with you guys tonight. Like Justin said, I have been in mortgage lending since 1998 in one facet or another, and have also been a real estate investor here in Minneapolis, where I live, in Chicago, where I spent about 7 years, and have learned a ton through getting to know people here in our market. Getting to know Justin and the guys over there at Pine. They have done amazing things here in our community and for me as well. And it's really great to be a part of it here. So thank you all for joining us. And as Justin mentioned, I am a mortgage loan officer. But what he didn't mention is that I've only been doing this job for a short while. I've been in the industry since 1998, but I've only been a loan officer for a few years. And I wanted to share with you the story of a day in my life about 4 years ago and see if it sounds familiar to any of you. It's kind of like today. I don't know about where you guys are at, but here in Minnesota, we had a crucial snowstorm overnight. So similar to today, I had left the house early. I drove to the office in a snowstorm, and I arrived at work late, punching the clock, as you do. Worked a hard, long day, like we do here in the mortgage industry. Probably worked harder than what I felt like I was earning at the time, and felt very little satisfaction in my day or control over where my career was going. I just kind of did what was expected of me and moved through my day. You know, don't get me wrong, I love my job. I love the people I work with, but I always knew in the back of my mind I was working for someone else and not myself. And I always wish I could do more. I kind of figured, though, this was the type of environment I was going to be in mortgage lending, and I was fairly content with it. So how many of you, I know you can't talk to me, but I wonder how many of you have had days like this where you punch the clock, and maybe some of you even had a day like this today. That's pretty much what my career was like the first 14 years that I was in this business. But that all changed, and it's ironic, it was December 6th, 2013 that changed for me. Is that what date is today?
Today is the 5th, actually. Yeah, that's crazy.
Amazing. That's crazy. So anyways, this day, pretty much 4 years ago, my boss at the time called me, and I was working away, and he told me that he was going to be exiting the industry, and that as of December 31st, I would no longer have a job, which was a little bit fear-inducing. You know, it was almost Christmas. We didn't have a lot of money in the bank at the time, and I felt like I was in a really crazy position where I had to make some quick decisions fast. And I either needed to find another job similar to what I was doing, needed to take a risk and go out on my own and become a fully commissioned loan officer. That was a scary decision for me at the time, but I knew I would no longer have a salary to depend on. But it was time for me to take some control over my life and see some more personal benefits from my work. So I decided to take the plunge. And I became a loan officer. So there's a cute shot of my team right there. I'll tell you more about them in a little bit. But I tell you this story because as I've gotten to know real estate investors in my community and throughout the United States, I find that we all have really similar stories. We wanted to go out on our own. We wanted some more financial freedom, more stability. We had a dream for what we wanted to do in our retirement. We wanted more time, we wanted more money, or we wanted both. So because we're all here today and we're all essentially working towards the same dreams and goals, I really wanted to share with you guys one thing that has helped me to get where I want faster than I ever really expected when I got that phone call 4 years ago, a clear and concise business plan. So today I'm going to talk you through the details of a business plan to help you create a plan for yourself, whether it be your business or, more importantly, what we're focusing on tonight, of course, is your real estate investing business. And I believe that Justin's going to be able to provide you each with a copy of this business plan after our call, so you can use it to plan your real estate investing business for 2018. Before I get started, I wanted to talk a little bit about perception in the market and what real estate investors are seeing in today's market. So I surveyed 50 of my favorite real estate investors, some here and some in Colorado, to get a pulse of what their take is in our market today. You'll see as I pull these different stats up from what I received, that people are feeling pretty good about where we're at. You know, I was really expecting people to be frustrated. Prices are high. We all know it's a seller's market. It's hard to find deals. But most investors are feeling really optimistic about where our market is. And it reminds me of something that I hear almost every year, which is when people say, I should have invested last year. Some people say that from time to time. So the question is, what can you guys do to stop from asking yourself this question in 2019 and saying, I did it, I actually did invest in 2018. Right at the bottom there, you see one of the most important responses that I received, and it was in regards to a potential correction. I think we're always buzzing about this in our industry. You know, when is the next crash? When is the next correction? Especially those of us that went through the pain of what happened in 2008. And 75% of the people that I reached out to feel like we are headed for a correction, and it's coming here within the next few years. So, you know, what we need to ask ourselves is, are we poised to take advantage of this? As real estate investors, a market correction can be a windfall for us if we're ready for it and if we're prepared. So what is the best way to seize opportunity if there is a market correction? It's to create an executable plan. I moved on to ask my investors what they feel is our greatest real estate opportunity here in our market. And I got a long list of stuff. I couldn't fit it all in here, so I just fit some of it on here. And, you know, this tells me that there's overwhelming opportunity in real estate investing, which makes me ask the question, perhaps we aren't losing opportunity in the market for investing. We just need to shift our mindset as to what makes a good opportunity. There's a lot of buzz right now about Airbnb. There's a lot of buzz about developing, new construction. What direction is real estate investing going? This is just, like I said, just a few things that we're doing in this market. But I really think the key here is a phrase that I hear often in my work here is, don't eat the elephant. If you try to do it all, you will lose focus on your goal. So look at this list, or maybe a list that you have of your own, and think about one or two things that you are good at and that you want to focus on, and really drill down on those things and how you can do them better than anybody else. And creating that business plan is going to help you narrow down these options and create a really clear path to follow. One of my favorite answers that I got was, do you feel equipped, qualified, knowledgeable enough to invest in the real estate market? And 100% of the people that I talked to said yes. So everybody's ready. We're all ready. We're excited. We've been educated like Justin and the guys over at Pine who's put hours and hours of free education out into our industry that really helps us get ready to invest. So if you're still not investing, what is holding you back? It could be as simple as not having a plan. I recently sat with a real estate developer here in Minneapolis who has done some pretty incredible projects, and he made a comment to me that I thought was really fascinating. It's really stuck with me. And he said, Kim, oftentimes we see our dream and it's on the other side of what we think is insurmountable obstacles. And we ask ourselves, how am I going to get through these obstacles to get to my dream? But what so many people miss out on is the fact that all they need to do is create a dream that is bigger than their obstacles, and they will figure out how to get there. I thought that was a really cool concept. And when you think about your dream and what you're trying to get, if you make that larger than all the things and all the fears that are holding you back, it's pretty amazing what you can accomplish and how quickly you can get there. I would ask you how many of you have heard of Simon Sinek, but I'll never know what to say. But I would imagine a lot of you have heard of him and have probably read his work or listened to his YouTube conversations. He talks a lot about organization. He talks a lot about millennials in the workforce. He's got some pretty interesting ideas and concepts on what's happening in our market today. But one of the things that I think is really valuable that he talks about is when thinking about your organization and thinking about why you do what you do is really drilling down beyond the things that we often talk about when we meet people. We sit down with people and the first thing we say is, what do you do? And sometimes our conversation goes to a place of why do you do it, or how do you do what you do? So we talk about, you know, why our performance is better than everyone else, or our service is better than everyone else, and all that good stuff. But it's very rare that we actually sit down and talk about why we do what we do. And when you create a vision and a clear reason for why you're doing what you do, it not only helps you communicate that to other people, but it helps you build a foundation for your business. So I'm not going to go into a ton more detail on this concept, but I definitely recommend to each of you to read the book. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. I have copies. If you'd like one, you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to send you one. It really helps to create a basis upon what your business can grow and create each step that is going to take you closer and closer to your why. And I will share my why with you guys here later on in our presentation.
Yeah, Kim, I think the why is super important because as people get into real estate investing and they find that it is competitive, you don't just go out and the first offer you make, you get the property and it's super easy. It takes a lot of work, and I think having a strong why, a really, really important why, will give me, the motivation to get up every day and put in the work that it's actually going to take to be really successful. So having a strong why is super important because it's the underlying motivation to do all of this.
Totally. I totally agree, because as we know as investors, it can get discouraging and frustrating sometimes. And when we wake up every morning with our why in the front of our mind, it can drive us and carry us through those challenges to get where we need to be. Thanks, Justin.
Exactly. Yeah, and so somebody asked a question, and for those of you on the call, if you have questions, as Kim poses some of those questions, feel free and post your questions in the questions section. I'll be monitoring that and jumping in from time to time and asking and relaying those to Kim. So we just had one jump up. Can you please repeat the name of that book?
Yes, it is Starts with Why by Simon Sinek, and you'll see his name spelled on that slide, S-I-N-E-K.
Yeah, it looks like you got a quote from him right there spelled out.
Yeah, if you want to read it, if you YouTube Simon Sinek, and you will find his Start with Why video. There's like a 15-minute version, and then there's like a 30-minute version. It's an amazing way to really transform where you're from with your business. I definitely recommend checking it out. And if you get something out of that, then you can move on to the book, which is even more detailed. So from there, once I kind of went through that exercise, and my office was amazing last year in January, they brought in Simon Sinek's team and actually spent a day with all 70 of us here in the Minneapolis region helping us find our why, which is an incredible experience. And you can go through that with the book as well. So once I had the opportunity to do that, I really created a base for where I was going. But going back to where I was in 2000, when I was a little bit freaked out about what I was going to be doing next and how I was going to get my sales career up and running, I decided to set 3 ground rules for myself. And I think this is such an important thing when you're thinking about real estate investing career and really motivating yourself to get going in 2018. Set some ground rules for yourself and what you intend to accomplish, within a certain time frame. What mine was, as I was going to do a 90-day burn. I was going to do whatever it took in my first 90 days, January 1st, March 31st, to get my business up and running. I was going to meet people. I was going to network. I was going to get on the phone. I was going to do anything it took to help things get up and running. And I told myself, I set a standard for myself. I said, if in my first 90 days I can't close at least 3 loans, then this wasn't the right thing for me, and I was going to go out and look for something much less exciting. So set yourself a metric, a standard, a minimum for what you want to accomplish in a certain time frame. So you've got a metric to work up. And then I think one of the hardest things for all of us was to commit to the plan. I knew I was going to create a plan, and what I promised myself is I would surrender and I would commit to it. Another video that I just recently watched, I think it's Mel Robbins, it's called the 5-second rule, if you YouTube that. Just a quick side note here. She talks about how if we don't take action in the first 5 seconds of wanting to do something or coming up with an idea, the likelihood of us actually taking action on that idea goes away very, very quickly. So every day I remind myself to commit to my plan, and every day I get up and I execute way before I can talk myself out of executing, and I find that is such a huge part of what helps to make it successful. So there's another one for you. I'll have a whole list of YouTube videos for you guys to watch, but it's the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. It's like a 12-minute video on YouTube. So about the time that I set these ground rules for myself, I was given the business plan that Justin's going to be sharing with you guys today. And I read through it and I thought, this is kind of silly. It seems really basic to me. I don't want to waste my time filling it out. I'm just going to work hard. I know I can see results if I just get out there and work hard, which is true. But I agreed to do it anyways. And the secret that I learned is when I took all those thoughts and those ideas and those concepts that were racing through my mind during that first 90 days of all the things that I could do to get my business going, when I took all those things and I actually wrote down and created an action plan, my business transformed. And suddenly what seemed conceptually like it could be a great thing became a great thing simply because I wrote them down. So when you get your hands on that nice little business plan, the first thing that you are going to see is a page that talks about knowing your numbers. I love this quote. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And I think that's so true. So we have to ask ourselves, look back at your year of 2017. How many deals have you done? Maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you didn't accomplish what you were hoping to in this year. Maybe you never even wrote it down. How many did you get done, and what was your average income per deal? This is an important piece of determining how we're going to do in 2018. Because if you have income goals that you want in 2018, which I know we all do, somewhere floating around in there, you need to figure out how many deals do I need to turn to accomplish this. I know in a lot of what we do, the income can vary, whether we're flipping or whether we're renting. But we can all kind of generate a plan based on what we're looking to accomplish. And if we just start with what are our income goals in 2018. And then we take another step back and say, how many leads do I need to generate to close this many deals? It's a heck of a lot more leads that we need to generate than deals. And then the next question we ask ourselves is, how do I get there? One of the things that I always do every year is I list out all of the activities that I'm going to be doing that year that will lead to success. And oftentimes they're the same, but sometimes they're a little bit different. You know, this year I have that I will speak at 2 events per month. Last year I did not have that, but I still need to really solidify what I'm going to be doing each and every day so that I'm sure I'm going to meet my goals. This is kind of a list that I have for my real estate investing, and you'll see that I arranged it in order of what I think leads to the most success. And look who's at the very bottom of my list: cold calling. I'm sure like there's like a groan across all of us when you think about cold calling and what torture it can be. And some people are amazing at it. I have seen some wizards at cold calling, but for me, it was not the right fit. So I really went to a place where I made leveraging and networking my top activity because I knew that was what I was best at. And then I focused the activities within those things around that to make sure that was what I was doing the most of to help grow my business. And that's really where you guys want to start too. What are you naturally good at? What feels good to you? If it feels good to you, you're going to want to do more of it. I'll tell you, cold calling did not feel good to me, so I found other ways to grow my business, which made it grow so much faster than I would have stuck with the things that I didn't enjoy doing. I look at this and I think about when I was living in Woodbury a couple years ago. Woodbury's a little suburb here in Minneapolis. I used to get a flyer in the mail for this realtor, and I remember the very first time I got it. I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's nice, and I threw it in the trash like we all do. And 3 months later, I got another flyer from the same realtor, and I thought, oh, that's interesting, and then I threw it in the trash. And then 2 months later, I got another flyer with another listing of his in the mail, and I thought, this guy must be kind of legitimate. And then another 3 months later, I got another one. So within a year, I got 4 touches from this realtor who I had never met in my life, but because he was consistent and persistent and committed to the activity that he chose to do, he suddenly created a credibility and a level of expertise in my mind, and likely many of my neighbors' minds, and started to really create a viable reputation in our community because of it. Had he only sent that first flyer, probably wouldn't have happened. Would have just gotten the second and third flyer, maybe not as much, but because he was consistent and he chose that as his marketing tool, as his activity that would lead to his success, it got him there. So I think about that when we think about what we're doing and how we can use that same strategy to continue to grow our businesses. Again, back to my thing about not eating the elephant, we want to stick to 1 or 2 activities and do them better than anybody else does. That's really how we achieve our success. Any questions or comments on that?
None yet, but we will see if they start coming in.
Great. Next page that you're going to see in the business plan is a tree of your referral sources. This is always an interesting one for me too. When you think about where your transactions came from, did they come from the MLS? Did they come from realtors? Did they come from wholesalers? Did they come from guys like the guys like you meet at Pine? Did they come from your networking events? List the referral and lead sources and the transactions that you did with those people, and it will help you to see if the work you're doing with those guys is really effective in your business. I do an annual review of my referral and lead sources every year. Actually, I do it a couple times a year, and it really helps me to pin down what relationships are beneficial to me. What are the ones that I should be focusing on and trying to grow and cultivate, and what are the ones that are costing me more time and money than they're worth? This is a concept where your dollar per hour really comes into play, and it's so important as business people that we understand what our dollar per hour is. It goes all the way back to that first page of the business plan where we talk about what do we want our annual income to be next year, and it's super easy. You take that number, whatever it is, write it down, and then divide it by 2,080. That is what your dollar per hour is. So when you're thinking about
that, hey Kim, how do you come up with that 2,080 hours?
That comes to 40 hours a week.
Gotcha.
That's an old loan processor technique that I used to use to calculate people's income. So when you're thinking about who you're going to work with or what activities you're going to attend, what networking events you're attending, you always need to be asking yourself, is my dollar per hour being met in what I'm doing? Is there something else I could be doing that is more, earns my dollar per hour better? that really helped me pin down a lot of my my referral sources. I had been meeting with realtors who happened to be a big referral source for me, and I was meeting with ones and trying to engage with some that I just wasn't clicking with. And instead of continuing to do that and spending time and money and effort on those people, I decided to refocus it on other people, and it really helped my business grow. So always be asking yourself, are they worth my dollar per hour? And it becomes really clear really quickly who you guys should be working with.
Yeah, Kim, that's actually a really great point. Not necessarily for the referrals. I mean, yes, for the referrals, but so many folks that I talk to want to, say, do fix and flips, and part of their plan is to go in there and do the work themselves.
Right.
And so if you were to do exactly what you're talking about, how many hours will you have into this investment? What does it look like in your dollar per hour? Or what could you pay someone on an hourly basis to do that work? And now you just created a job for yourself at $12 an hour or something like that, or depending on what it is. So I think it's really important that you take some time and think exactly about what you just said. It's a really important point.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you can put it in other concepts as well. It's in everything you do all day long. What is your dollar per hour?
Yeah, and so Kim, can you go back and revisit that formula one more time about how exactly you figured that out?
Yeah, so this is from my old loan processing days. Take what you want your annual salary to be and divide it by 2,080.
Okay, so say I want to make $100,000 in 2018. I would take 100,000 and then divide by 2,080.
2,080.
2080.
Okay. Yep, and what does that come out to? I should know this. It's like, are you doing it?
I don't know. Let's see.
Let's do it. I don't have a calculator on me, or I would do it.
$48.07.
Right, $40. I guarantee you that swinging a hammer is worth $48 an hour.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a super fun exercise. I use it every day, and I think about whenever someone calls me for an appointment, and it helps me streamline the way that I do my business too, so that I do make sure that my time is being used as efficiently as possible, because we all have limited time. So once you kind of determined who of your network and your referral sources and your lead sources is worthy of your dollar per hour, this is a step that I would recommend you take. You reach out to them. You thank them for the business that they've shared with you. You ask them for more business. It's always important that we ask for what we want. People don't know what you want until you ask for it. And then we move on to my very favorite concept, which is leveraging. Let me pull up my little shot here. Leveraging is truly, in my opinion, the best way to grow your business exponentially in the shortest amount of time. So I have a little exercise for you guys. You will write down, and you don't need to do it right now, but maybe just start to think about this, and then over the next few days, write down the names of your top 10 clients, contacts, sphere of influence, people that you've been working with that you feel like have influenced your business in the last year. Write their names down. And now you're going to call them, but you're not going to call them and ask them for more business, although you can. You're going to actually ask them a different question this time. You're going to say, who do you know that you can introduce me to that can help me grow my business? And the more specific you can be, the better. So sometimes I'll call my students and I'll say, hey, look, I'm looking for a real estate attorney. I've got clients that need to work with real estate attorneys. I haven't been able to find one I like. Can you connect me to a real estate attorney? Or do you know a few that I can talk to? And throughout that, I get, my gosh, 20, 30 different attorneys that I can speak to. And now I have 20 different contacts that I get to connect with and talk to and potentially start doing business with. So it's more than just how can an individual help me, but how can an individual introduce me to others that can also help me? And if you think about how you can exponentially grow that, so then I meet with a real estate attorney, and then I ask that real estate attorney, do you know any CPAs that I can talk to? I need to talk to a CPA, and then he introduces me to 3 CPAs, and just think about the explosion of introductions that are happening just within that conversation. Something that my coach and mentor is saying to me all the time, which I need to constantly remind myself of, is the people that are in your sphere, the people that you have been working with, that for a long time that know you and trust you. They know you, they trust you, they want to help you, but they don't know how unless you specifically ask them. And if you ask for what they need or what you need, they will share it with you, and your network will continue to grow. That's been an amazing concept for me. And then through that, when you create this, oh, go ahead. I get so excited at this part. I just keep talking.
No, it's a great point. And so you broke up for a quick second when you started talking about this slide. So I think you've recapped it, but give us a real quick recap of what this slide is and what you said at the very beginning of the slide, because you broke up for a quick second.
Okay, sure. So what I did is I kind of challenged you to an exercise, and it's to take, write down the names of your top 10 influencers, your sphere of influence, your clients, your contacts, business associates, the top 10 people that you really feel like influenced you in 2017, and then call them. And instead of calling them and asking them for more business from themselves, ask them a different question. Ask them, who do you know that you can introduce me to that can help me grow my business? And then from there, like I was saying, you grow that network exponentially until you become the super connector. And what that means is when someone needs something, they need a contractor, they need a CPA, they need a they're reaching out to you, because the more people are reaching out to you, the more business is coming your way, the more people are connecting with you, and the more business you can generate. My goal is always to be the person that everyone reaches out to when they need a guy. And that's really, again, changed the course of my career. I could talk about that topic all day long. If anyone wants to hear more about it, you just let me know. And I've got some great books that I can recommend on it as well. So now we kind of move into a more of a strategic concept of the business plan, less about numbers and more about strategy. And this is the part where we worry less about details, and we think about our business from a 30,000-foot view, kind of looking down on it instead of in it. And I love asking people this question. What is the difference between being employed and being a business owner? When I think of my self-employed self, I think of being on everyone else's time, right? Like, someone called me, I got to call them back. I got to get an answer to this guy. I got 700 emails I got to respond to. My phone's ringing. My text messages are coming in like crazy. I'm at everybody's beck and call. It's totally exhausting being self-employed, right? It is not a 40-hour week. It's a full-time job. We never quit as self-employed people. But what happens if you change your mindset on that a little bit and you think of yourself as a business owner? Pull yourself out of the day-to-day operations and think, how can I create systems and strategies within my business, within my real estate investing business, to become more efficient? A lot of you work time. Your real estate investing career is your part-time job. You don't have all the time to work on it. So how do you make it more efficient? What are things you can do to become more intentional about what you're doing and less transactional? So these questions that you see on this slide, they'll be in that packet that Justin's going to share with you too. But I write the answers down to these questions every single year. And every single year, a lot of my answers are the same. A lot of them are different. It helps me really refocus on what I'm going to be doing well, what my opportunities are, and how I'm going to overcome any of the challenges and threats that I'm going to face throughout the year.
Yeah, I think this is if you go back one slide, I think that quote or question is a really important question, because if you're self-employed, you're basically calling yourself an employee, right? It's just you work for yourself, you're your own boss, but you're an employee as opposed to being a small business owner. And it's a very interesting mindset shift. I mean, you may have the same exact role, but by doing that, you're kind of talking to yourself about, you know, what do I work in my business versus do I work on my business?
Totally. And you need to do both. But if we only work in our business and we never work on our business, it's never given the opportunity to grow and be anything more than it already is. Thanks, Justin. So I like to throw this little one up here. This is just kind of funny. But this is what I found happened when I started to create a business plan. My reality became much more clear, much more direct to my end goal. And what that means is if I have a business plan, if I have a you are working on funding deals, you can do more and more of them because you're not going through all the hoops and valleys and pitfalls and fixes try to get to the end of every deal. Each deal, you analyze, how could I have done that better? What went wrong? What went right? So that you can continue to put strategies in place to do better every time. So with that, to summarize kind of what we've been talking about today, I wanted to share some of the really valuable lessons that I've learned from my experience of creating a business plan each year for what I'm doing. If you don't measure what you are doing, you have no metrics by which to gauge your success or your failure. My coach often tells me that I won't succeed if I don't fail at least 20 times a day. And if you think about your day from that perspective, he's right. If I'm not told no 20 times a day, then I'm missing out on a lot of opportunities for someone to actually say yes.
Yeah,
and if I don't, you like that?
I do, yeah. I was just listening to something earlier today, actually, and they were saying just because you fail does not mean that you're a failure, right? I mean, failing
Right.
is how we learn. It's how we grow. It's how we push ourselves out of our comfort zone.
Exactly. The other thing that I feel like was really important that I learned is if I don't write down what I will do and what I have done every day, I have nothing to hold myself accountable to. I can wake up every day and just fall into my day and emails and respond to phone calls and not be intentional about anything that I'm doing, and then before I know it, the day is over. So every day at the end of the day, I write down what I'm going to get done the next day. Every day at the end of the day, I look and see what I did today and if I accomplished all of my goals. And if I didn't, I'm going to figure out how to do better tomorrow. You guys, the most successful people I know, and I know Kevin at Klein and you guys all over there are one of these guys, they continue to do this each and every day. Focus on your goals, write them down every day, and follow through on them. It's an incredibly powerful tool to accomplish your goals.
Yeah, that's awesome that you were just saying that you write down what you do the next day, because I literally just wrote out my whole to-do list for tomorrow, and it started with all of the big important stuff, to help me focus on tomorrow. And what are the big things and what's going to drive me towards my goals. So that way, because if I didn't do this, I would still be in the office working and be busy all day long, nonstop, guaranteed. Yep. But there's a difference between being busy and being productive, right? If you're intentional about what you're doing and what you put on that to-do list, and checking emails should certainly not be one of the first 1, 2, 3, 5, maybe not even the top 10 things you do. Although, yes, it's important you check your emails, but that's not going to get you to your goal, right? It's picking up the phone. It's following up with those referral sources. It's all those types of things that will get you closer to that goal faster.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks. So I went back to my little 90-day burn. Is anybody wondering how I did and if I accomplished my goal of 3 closings in the first 90 days? Well, I did. I worked super, super hard, and I was lucky enough to close 11 deals, so I didn't need to quit my job, and I'm still here today. And each year, I really continue to create bigger, more specific, and more detailed plans for where I want to go. And it's brought me here. I'm leading an awesome team. I love them. And I'm able to help over 200 families and real estate investors a year, which has been something I never thought I could accomplish. And really what's beyond that is to have an opportunity like this that I'm having today to help people like you who are just like me and being able to offer you guys the same tools to success that I have been given. And that brings me back to my why statement that I mentioned I would share with you earlier. And if you read the book, you'll see that there's a specific way that these are written. And mine is to share knowledge and confidence so that people can be empowered to find their direction. So I really appreciate that I had the opportunity to do that with you guys today. Each Monday morning, I take 10 minutes, and before I start the week, I reread my why. I review my business plan, and it helps me to remain clear on my vision, stay focused on my plan, and to execute to the highest level. So with that, I wanted to leave you guys with one parting thought as my coach and my mentor says to me all every day, to remind me how important it is to seize the opportunities that are in front of me. Some will, but most won't be the sum. That's it, you guys. Thank you so much. And if you've got any questions, I'd love to answer them. I also would love to be a resource for anybody listening to this call that has questions about real estate investing in general, financing your real estate, creating a business plan, creating a strategic plan to help you become a successful real estate investor. Those are all things that I'd love to help people do. And I would love to do that with you. So I'm going to put my email address up here. And I think Justin will share my phone number with you guys and again, share that business plan with you too so you can create your plan for 2018.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Kim. I really appreciate the time and you putting this together and sharing it with us. We've got one question here. Do you fund in the DC and Maryland areas?
I don't. Actually, I do fund in DC until the end of this year, and I wasn't planning on renewing my license, but if you have a project happening there, I'd be happy to talk to you about it, and then I would consider renewal.
Perfect. And so you mentioned a lot of books, although you didn't necessarily give all the titles and stuff. Would you mind going back through some of those, or maybe flipping back through your slides and sharing some of the books that helped you, helped influence you?
Yeah. So one of the books I mentioned was Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Another book that really changed my career, it really dives into that leveraging concept I was sharing with you, is The 7 Levels of Communication.
You kind of broke up there. Say that one more time. The 7 levels of what?
7 Levels of Communication.
Okay.
And that's by Michael Maher. Got a cute little love story in there too. Oh gosh. Another book that did change my life was Miracle Morning. By Hal Elrod. And I'm always trying to pick up new things. If you guys have new friends and would like to share, I would love to hear about it. Good to Great, The One Thing. Gary Keller has written some amazing stuff too that I can always recommend. But yeah, that's where I would start. I always recommend people getting started start with the 7 levels of communication and start with why.
Gotcha. The 7 levels of communication and start with why. Those are the ones you would recommend people start with. Awesome.
Yeah.
So somebody on the call would recommend Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's the one I was trying to think of. That's such a great book.
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's a question. What do you tell someone who just started out in investing?
Well, I think it's overwhelming. I think, they spend a lot of time trying to figure out what the right resource is for them to be working with. I will tell you that there are resources like Pine and other educators out there that aren't going to charge you thousands of dollars to learn how to invest. And the best education that you can give yourself in real estate investing is jumping in and doing it. I have seen some people spend up to $30,000 on education. They could have lost that in a flip or in a real estate transaction and learned a heck of a lot more than they did sitting in a classroom. We always have to overcome our fears, and fear can paralyze us and keep us from taking action. So my recommendation is always to jump in and try something. And there's almost always something in real estate investing that you can do to actually get involved and do something.
Yeah, I mean, Kim, you're a lender, I'm a lender, and unfortunately, I don't know how often you see or hear it, but we get it quite a bit here in the office where someone will go through, some sort of guru course or something like that and drop that $30,000. I know somebody who went as high as, I think, $80,000, learning real estate investing. And those courses can be great for that 30,000-foot view, understanding what a fix and flip is versus rentals versus wholesaling. But, really nothing, my first question to them is, well, how do you fill out a contract? How do you make an offer? And they don't know because they haven't actually gone out there and tried doing it. And a lot of the times these people spend so much money on the education that now they don't have money to invest anymore. So it can definitely slows people's progress. And So you've been awesome in mentioning a lot of different books. There are so many books out there, and what's amazing about a book is you're basically taking someone's life experience and putting it into 200 pages and a $20 asset that'll sit on your shelf. So for
Yeah.
$20, you can get someone's life experience, everything they've learned and gone through. So rather than spending $20,000, you can just spend $20 and pick up a book. Now it's not necessarily the same, but if you're on a budget or you're looking to save some money or dive in a little faster, sometimes books can be just as good.
Yep, and the podcast that Bigger Pockets puts out are phenomenal as well. And you can listen to them in your car when you're driving in a snowstorm on the way to work.
Yeah, exactly. Podcasts can be an amazing resource because, I mean, there's a ton of podcasts on all different subjects, especially within real estate investing. So you can find the right voice that you like, whether it's the bigger pockets guys or any of the other folks out there. And if you're out there driving around looking at properties and trying to get into deals, what are you doing? You're sitting in the car. Well, it's a great opportunity to be one going out and doing the experience of seeing and investing in real estate and practicing that, but also learning and expanding your knowledge as you're driving around.
Absolutely.
So, Kim, what markets do you serve?
Right now, I'm in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Colorado, Illinois, Iowa, and Virginia, Florida, and California. I might be making some changes to those states in 2018 just as I try to hone my business in and make it even more specific. But I'm always open to talking to people in other states, and like I said, if they've got projects going on that I can help with, licensure is just a process I need to go through, and I'm happy to do it.
Awesome, great. And so someone's asking, how do we get into real estate investing with little to no money?
Oh my gosh, one of the right people right here. Justin and their firm, they do some amazing things helping people get into finance or investment properties with little down through their buy and rehab and rent or rehab and split program. Justin can direct you to can share more about how you can do that with them. If you are looking to invest and you haven't yet even bought a property to live in, that is an amazing way to get started. There are so many low payment opportunities for people buying their first home that you can get to a 3 or 4 unit home or a duplex with very little money down, live in one unit, rent out the others, pretty much live for free, and really jumpstart your investing career. So if that isn't something you have yet done, I'm working with a lot of people right now that are taking advantage of that opportunity as a first-time homebuyer.
Yeah, so Kim, you broke up a little bit there, so I'll try and recap a little bit. So what you just mentioned was something that's now seems to be commonly referred to as house hacking, where you may buy a duplex, live in half of it, and then rent the other half out. Now, you might, depending on how you do it, and of course, give Kim a call because she works with owner-occupants, and this would be an owner-occupant property, so you can get in with a lot less down payment, but also you might have that other side of the duplex or multi-unit, whatever it is, their rent that they pay might cover most or maybe even all of your mortgage payment. So it's a way to get in with maybe less money out of pocket because of smaller down payment, and then also, quote unquote, live for free because the tenant will potentially cover the mortgage. So that's a great way. So Kim and I at Pine Financial, we teach basically a whole 2-hour class on how to leverage hard money. You can use hard money to buy the property, to fix it up, assuming that the house needs repairs, whether it's for a rental or for a flip. And if it's for rental, of course, you buy it with the hard money, fix it up with the hard money, and then you refinance into, Kim's loan, and now you're into a 30-year mortgage with very little to no money down because you borrowed so much of it, of the purchase and the repairs, hopefully with the hard money, and that refinance would hopefully also be no money down. Now there's tons of other ways when you get into the creative financing, the owner financing ways, lots of other strategies that we could spend, and we've had other guests on who do a lot of those things. But those are probably the biggest, easiest ways to get in with little to no money. is to be buying a property, live in it, and rent part of it out, or use hard money and leverage the power of hard money to have less money down.
We see a lot of people do that every year. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So someone's asking for my contact information. So the phone number for Pine Financial here in the office is 303-835-4445. Again, that's 303-835-4445. And my email is justin@pinefinancialgroup.com. So yes, absolutely. Feel free to give us a call, shoot me an email. I'm happy to help in any way, just like Kim is. And our website is pinefinancialgroup.com. Another question. I'm new to investing and currently working on building my team. What are some questions I should ask a lawyer as I shop around for one?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, I would first ask if they have experience in real estate, because lawyers obviously can have different fields of expertise. And then I think it depends too on what you're looking to invest in. If you're doing development, you want to ask about their experience in development. If you're looking at inner city type stuff that you're looking to maybe do some conversions, then you want someone that has experience with zoning and that type of law. So you want to think about, again, you always want to be specific about what you're trying to accomplish, and then be vetting out the people that you're working with based on their experience and their knowledge in that area. What would you say about that, Justin?
Yeah, I think you want to hit some general questions up front to make sure that you're talking to the right person, such as, are they experienced with working with real estate investors? That's a great place to start. But then also be willing to share who you are and specifically where you're at in this journey. Be humble. If you are brand new and you're just starting to build your team, be honest and tell them that. We get calls all the time from folks who've been through those different guru courses, and they tell me that they want to interview me, which sounds great, when you're reading off your script, but you've done 0 deals. I've done 1,200 deals. So really, I'm interviewing you to see if I want to work with you. So, if you're humble and you come in with that perspective, then absolutely, I want to help and I want to see people be successful and grow their business and have the success that Kim and I have both had. So if you come in and you're humble with what you're looking for and hoping to do, people will give you the time and the respect and help you on your journey as well. Kim, here's another one. Do you do loans for turnkey multi-units?
I sure do. Yep. I can finance residential property 1 to 4 units, and I'd be happy to talk to you more about it if you wanted to reach out to me.
Perfect. So here's one kind of piggybacking on what we were just talking about. What purpose does a lawyer have in your team? I kind of feel like, what purpose don't they have, right? I mean, if you're potentially reviewing contracts, if you're using the standard, buy and sell contract, you don't have to have that reviewed, but anything not standard should definitely be reviewed.
Or if you're creating an LLC or a partnership, which is very, very common in what we're doing, a partnership on a handshake, or writing up an agreement between you and your buddy for work you're going to do together. Let me tell you, that always goes sideways. I mean, you really want to have a professional in there making sure you've got all your bases covered, so that if something falls apart, or who knows what can happen, you guys are covered and everything is taken care of. A lot of people think putting your properties in an LLC is important. A lawyer can talk you through that piece. Yeah, there's a lot of value in having a lawyer on your team.
Absolutely. Or just having someone, by having a lawyer on your team doesn't mean you've given them a bunch of money, doesn't mean you're in communication every week, but you've at least set up some communication, right? They've got you in their database, so when you call up in 6 months with a question, they already know who you are. You're a little tuned into how they work, and everything can just go a little faster, a little easier, and they'll definitely give you some time. So if you don't have one, it doesn't hurt to just start asking around. Do you have to have one on your team tomorrow? No. Do you have to have a CPA on your team tomorrow? No. But it doesn't hurt to start asking around. And now you've got some recommendations, so that when you're talking to the next person and you say, well, how can I help you grow your business? And they say, well, I'm actually looking for a CPA. you'll have someone on your team that you've talked to, hopefully at least once, that you can then refer out. Let's see, what else? We got a couple more questions here. We're quickly running out of time, but we've got some good questions here. So thank you, everyone, for continuing to ask questions here. Does hard money show up on the credit report? And does hard money help improve credit score? So no, generally hard money doesn't report to credit like a conventional mortgage does, but there's a good chance that hard money will pull your credit. So it may come up as an inquiry, but not necessarily as something that will increase your credit score by showing regular payments. Is this being recorded? Yes, hopefully, if I press the right buttons, it is. And we're going to be posting it to YouTube. So just as I will be emailing out Kim's business plan, as she was mentioning, I'll also send out the link to YouTube so everybody can rewatch this. What else? There's a couple more here. So regarding the super connector, so you get a list of CPAs, let's say, and meet with each one of them and ask, who else can help me? How does having all of these quote-unquote shallow relationships help me?
I don't necessarily look at them as shallow, but I do look at the relationships that I'm building. I don't necessarily build a relationship with all 10 of those CPAs. I build a relationship with maybe one or two of them, and then I build a really strong relationship with them because I'm referring them business, they're referring me business, and we become business partners. So you kind of have to vet through the weeds to get to where you want to be. I made it my personal mission not to work with people I don't like. And that's a really great feeling because sometimes when we first get started, we work with anybody that will work with us. And the more people I can meet, the more I'm going to find people that are like-minded like me, that work the same way I do, that treat their customers the same way I do. Those are the people I want to work with. So I don't necessarily want to work with all 10 or all 20 of the CPAs I'm meeting, but the more I meet, the better chances I have of finding someone that I really like and that I can develop a really great connection with and do a lot of great business with and have fun at the same time.
Yeah, and you're never going to find those great one or two people if you don't call all 10.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's where the no piece comes into play because I call a lot of people and they don't want to meet with me, and that's fine. Maybe moving on to the next. But if I don't have an abundance of people to call, then I'm less and less relationships. And it's so much easier to call and say, hey, so-and-so, and I should call you that we should talk about business than saying, hey, my name is Kim and I want to talk to you about your business. That warm introduction is always so much more helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And so those phone calls where somebody doesn't answer the phone or won't give you the time to talk with them on the phone, I mean, that counts towards those 20 fails a day, right? So you chalk it up, okay, that one didn't work out, on to the next one. So here's a question. They just learned about 203K loans. Is this a good option for first-time home buyer looking to buy a small multifamily and renovate it?
Yes, we do a lot of 203K loans here. It's a great opportunity to get into a fixer-upper without a lot of money down and roll the renovation costs into the loan.
Yeah, so a 203K is just for owner-occupants, right?
Right.
And what you're doing is you're financing the construction. Let's say you're going to buy it and put $60,000 of work into it. You're financing that $60,000 over potentially 30 years, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's a very unique strategy, but for owner occupants, it can be a great strategy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think we're about out of time. There's one last question, I think, for these house hacking deals where you're going to occupy, say, half the duplex and rent out the other one. Is it a good idea to still have a property manager since you live on the property?
You know, I think it depends on your personal situation, and Justin, you can fill in your thoughts on that too. I personally like having a property manager because I'm super soft, and if someone comes to me, especially the person that lives in my building, and says, "Oh, I can't make my rent payment this month, or it's going to be late, or this or that," then I end up, you know, kind of becoming more personal about my business and not as intentional about how I'm running it. So I personally like having a property manager to kind of keep that distance between myself and my tenants and keep the working relationship professional.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's one of the reasons I have a property manager on one of my properties, but I still manage a couple of my properties myself. Now, really, I think it all comes down to personal preference. I mean, one, are you familiar with being a property manager? You know, if you talk to property managers as you're, building that team, they are great at scare tactics. Not that they're trying to scare you into using property management, it's just that they know all the rules and regulations and you don't. So it can seem scary. That doesn't mean that all of those horrible things are going to happen, and certainly not that they're going to happen to you and your tenant. But some people don't want their tenants to know where they live, and you live right next door. So if you're comfortable managing it, then maybe you set up a PO box, so they don't walk next door and give you the rent. Maybe you manage it yourself, but you don't make it known that, hey, I actually live right next door. There's lots of nuances when it comes to property management and how you can manage property. So, but if you have no idea how to manage a property, then I think it'd be a great thing to do to pick up a couple books, listen to some podcasts, and interview some property managers and get to know them. How does it work? What does it cost? And then decide if it's worth, for you personally in your situation, to hire a property manager. And that is something very different for, I think, every person. And it'll change over time as well. I know for me, I started out managing myself, and over time, I've realized I'm not a great property manager. So I've brought in a property manager to help out. All right, well, Kim, I think we've now gone over our time. Thank you, everyone, for sticking on the call for so long. Kim, any last thoughts?
No. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I hope you guys have a really wonderful 2018, and your real estate investing does fantastic. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next month on the next webinar. Thank you.